To another Sunday School Short. Today we are in Matthew 23 and Luke 20 and 21. Walking through the New Testament chronologically as it happened, as it was written. Like, subscribe, and share. You know the deal. Hit that bell notification for when new devos come out. This is just a supplement, not a substitute for your time in God's Word. Get into God's Word. Be a daily Bible reader. Matthew 23. This parallels Mark 12 and Luke 20. It speaks of the Jewish leadership here, the Jewish leaders. Practice and obey what they say. He's telling the people, practice and obey what they say, but don't follow their example, for they don't practice what they teach. Everything they do is for show. They love to receive respectful greetings. Don't address anyone here on earth as Father, for only God in heaven is your spiritual Father, it says in verse 9. In 11, the greatest among you must be a servant. Those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. 13 through 36, verses 13 through 36. 13, what sorrow awaits you, Pharisees and teachers of religious law, hypocrites! You shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. You yourselves won't go, and you don't let others enter either. Jesus calls them blind guides, blind fools, because they make the unimportant important, and vice versa. So they mention the gold in the temple, is holy, but not the temple itself. And so they miss the whole point. Much like us, churchgoers, if you're a churchgoer, you need to know that you're a true born-again believer, a Christian in Jesus Christ, that you've placed faith in Him, that you're not just doing a specific thing on a specific day at a specific place. You're not going to a civic organization or a country club or just a great place for the kids or all that stuff. No, you're going because your faith overflows from out of you, and you are surrounded by other believers, as it tells us in Hebrews. Jesus says to the Pharisees, you are careful to tithe the tiniest little thing, but you miss the more important stuff, like justice, mercy, and faith. Yes, you should tithe. So there's the answer. Yes, you should tithe. So be a tither. You should tithe, but don't miss more important things. For the last part of 23. You're careful to clean the outside of the cup. And he's saying you want to look religious, and you look religious, and you wear those things, and the robes and all that stuff. But inside you're filthy, full of greed and self-indulgent. You must first wash the inside, then the outside will become clean too. Luke 20, verses 1 through 8, parallel closely Matthew 21 and Mark 11, where the Jewish leaders question Jesus' where his authority comes from. They're trying to trap him. This is previously discussed in other videos, and the text is pretty clear on it, so we won't delve into that again. Verses 9 through 19 also closely paralleled Matthew 21 and Mark 12, talking about the evil tenant farmers. The vineyard owner sent a servant. Here it says a servant, not servants in Luke here. A servant, which is a prophet. At harvest time, he beat them up and sent them back. That's what the evil tenants did. He sent another servant, beat them, and sent them back empty-handed. The third, he wounded and chased them away. The owner then said, I'll send my cherished son. Surely they'll respect him. And that is a symbol, that's a picture of Jesus. Well, they murdered him, just like the people murdered Jesus, how he was on the cross. He voluntarily gave up his own life, but if you look at it from one perspective, he was wrongfully accused, wrongfully died. But he did it for a purpose. He came to die. Jesus says, what do you suppose the owner will do with them? He'll kill the farmers and lease the vineyards to others. And the Jewish leaders wanted to arrest him because they knew that he was talking about them, but they were scared of the crowds. In verses 20 through 26, the Jewish leader questioned Jesus about paying taxes. Again, they're trying to trap him. Jesus asked, give me a Roman coin. Whose picture's on it and whose name is stamped on it? And then they see that it's Caesar's, or he says that it's Caesar's. Well, give Caesar what belongs to Caesar, but give God what belongs to God. Verse 25. They were amazed at his answer, and they fell silent. Verses 27 through 40 parallels Matthew 22 and Mark 12. Jesus was approached by the Sadducees, they were much like the Pharisees, religious, pious people, but they didn't believe in the resurrection. They tried to trap him. This is the story where there's 7 brothers. In the ancient Near East, where a widow had no child that was married and widowed, she would marry the brother, and that child would become the first brother, that would become his offspring. All right, so verse 34, he says, you don't know the scriptures, marriage is for here on earth. And it goes on to talk about the resurrection of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God says, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Verse 38, so he is the God of the living and not the dead, for they are all alive to him. Jesus closes out Luke 20 by warning the crowds listening to beware of the teachers of religious law. Luke 21 parallels Matthew 12 with the widow giving all she had, and Jesus saying she gave more than the rest because they gave out of their surplus, and that was the very reason. She gave more. She gave all she had. Verses 5 through 38 parallels Matthew 24 and Mark 13. Be watchful for his return. That's what it's talking about. The disciples began talking about the majestic stonework of the temple, and Jesus says the time is coming when not one stone will be left on top of the other, and that became true in 70 AD when Titus destroyed all of Jerusalem. He killed the people, then he said, hey, on top of that, destroy the city and the temple. But there's so much valuables in gold inside those stones of the temple and stuff. He's right. Not one stone was left on top of the other. And because there were gold, and they would harvest gold out of a lot of that and other precious jewels and metals and such as that. Goes on to say, don't be misled. Many will come in my name claiming I am the Messiah. Again, he's talking about the end of time. I am the Messiah. The time has come, but don't believe them. Nation will come against nation. There will be great earthquakes, famine, and plagues in many lands, terrifying and miraculous signs from the heavens before this time of great persecution. Even those closest to you, your mother, father, brother, sister, and other relatives will betray you. They will even kill some of you. Everyone will hate you because you are my followers. And we see some of that today. I mean, people are violent even against followers of Jesus. By standing firm, you will win your souls. Verse 21. When Jerusalem's surrounded by armies, you'll know the time of destruction has arrived. There will be strange signs in the moon and the stars, nations in turmoil, roaring seas and tides and that type of stuff. Then verse 27, then everyone will see the Son of Man, that's the title he gave himself, coming on a cloud with power and great glory. So when all these things begin to happen, stand firm, look up, for your salvation is near. Verse 34, watch out. Don't let your hearts be dulled by carousing and drunkenness and by the worries of this life. Don't let that day catch you unaware. What about you? Are you preparing? Are you ready for God's coming, for Jesus coming back? Or are you living your own life, doing your own thing? That's what they were doing in the time of Noah. That's what they were doing in Sodom and Gomorrah in the time of Lot. They were just partying and doing their own thing, living selfish lives. Don't be like that. Live for God. Get in God's word. Know what he desires of you. Like, subscribe, and share. God bless you.